Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 85. We've given Corben a presentation framework document with several stages in it, and we've asked him to use that framework to give us an update on the Strictly Come Dancing interview, followed by an update on the Royal Northern interview, and generally practice his projection and presence. In that way, he can use a real experience and communicate it to you in an interesting and enthusiastic way. In the world of work, one is often asked to do presentations or to present your ideas to a group of people, and it's another soft skill that we're trying to help Corben to develop.
Make sure all my hair is good and it's not good. Oh well. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. In fact, I have some news for you. I have 3 bits of news. In fact, not just 1 bit of news. It's an exciting day. Since we last spoke a week ago, have put that on silent. Yeah, distracting. So, I found out about the Strictly Come Dancing thing, which was great. And as we said, or as I said, I went up for an interview at the BBC, and we spoke about the interview process, and it went good. They asked me back, so I've got 2 days on the 30th and 31st of August, and it is currently the 27th or something. So I go up in a couple of days. It's Tuesday. I go up on Wednesday night, start on Thursday. It's 2 days, and they see if they like me, I think, and then they'll decide whether or not they want to keep me on to do any more. And I was pretty excited when I found out that I got it. I was slightly worried because obviously they didn't put me into a contract. It was just, come up for these 2 days, let's see how it goes. So it almost feels like the audition process, I'm calling it the audition process, isn't quite over yet. So I'm still being tested. They're not 100% sure that they like me, but I'm assuming that they'll do this to every runner, so it's not a personal thing. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really excited. But then I'm glad they didn't book me into a contract in the end, because life has taken another funky turn. I found out about... I think I've already said this in the last video, but I'm going to say it again. So I found out about this... Oh yes, of course. Sorry. Last time we spoke about the audition itself. I'm now talking about the Skype interview. Last time we spoke about the Skype interview, how I would act. But I've done it now. So this is how I did act. And I found it to be a very positive experience, actually. Last time, Graham was telling me that I should think about how I spend my time within the next 24 hours in prep for my interview very carefully. And I'm glad that he said that, because my modes and all of those scales didn't matter one bit in the Skype interview. He wanted to know how much I wanted to be on that course. So I had a whole list of notes about what the course entailed over the 4 years, and how many credits you had to earn, and what the modules were about, and all of those details. And that's what he really kind of... He didn't quiz me on it, because they're not quizzing me on how well I know the course, but he wanted to know... I think he wanted to know that I knew about that. He was asking questions that maybe would lead me into either 2 places. I'd either didn't have the knowledge about the course and would say something kind of off topic, or it would be quite a nice subtle lead into my demonstration of the knowledge of the course. So I knew it. I think I was saying all the right things, and it went very well. I spent a lot of time pre-interview making sure that the camera environment, all of this space, and myself was presented in an acceptable manner. I was doing it on my iPad. I had it hung up, and I had a nice natural light through the window, and I had my instruments, a kind of subtle display in the background. And then, about 2 minutes in, no, not even that, about 45 seconds in, his internet broke, so Skype stopped working. So all of my lovely, I had a buttoned up shirt, I did all the buttons up this time, well, all but one. I wasn't doing any of this action. This is my casual button. Yeah, that's cool. I had them all done up. I was looking smart. I had proper hair, as opposed to these. And then it broke. But I don't think he was going on appearance too much, which was okay, because then we spoke over the phone, and we had about a 45-minute conversation, and we got on very well. I would say my kind of the things that really got me through that was I knew exactly what the course entailed. Like, I wasn't going to slip up and say, like, oh, is it 4 years? I thought it was 3, or anything silly like that. I knew everything about it. That's a pretty obvious thing to know, but I knew all the modules, which came in very handy. I'd say I knew what to expect with him. I'd looked him up. I knew what he was going to look like. I'd watched him talk in interviews and things on YouTube. So I felt like I knew his persona slightly, so that I wasn't shocked or taken aback, and I didn't have to spend that processing time understanding him as a person. Because it always takes a moment to realize how someone is, and then you take on your... Alex had a wonderful name for this. I can't remember what the word that he used is. It would be so smooth if I could subtly slide it in. It's like you take on a character, almost a version of yourself, around certain people, around certain personas. So I watched him on YouTube. I anticipated the persona that I may take on, and I thought about whether or not that was the persona that I wanted to project to him, and tweaked it slightly where I thought I'd need to be maybe more confident, less confident. Yes, I think there were times where being less confident was a handy thing to be, but I'll talk about that later. And we got on. Yes, I've said that now, but we did. We chatted, and he was asking me about my musicality and blah-de-blah-de-blah, and I felt really good at the end of it, actually. I was very uplifted, because it kind of went from this random, very small bluebird that didn't hold much hope in my mind, to an actual thing that I had a chance at. So at the end of that Skype interview, it felt like a very real possibility, as opposed to just kind of a daydream, which it had been previously. So it felt great, and I immediately got prepping for my audition, which we scheduled at the end of the Skype call to be on that following Friday. So it's Tuesday. I was going up on Thursday night, so I had the rest of Tuesday, had all day Wednesday, and the Thursday morning, because I had to drive all the way up to Manchester. It's a long way from Bath. It's about 5 or 6 hours in total, if you get lost like I did. So I had 2 days, pretty much, two days to learn the piece. People had been prepping, may I say, this isn't boastful in any form, but my friends who were on the course, 8 months before they started doing their piece every day to prep for this interview, I had 2 days. So it was an intense 2 days. I didn't do anything but play the piano, and my wrists hurt, but it was worth it, because, well, I'm going to move these pens. Graham would like it if I moved these pens. He wouldn't, but I'm going to move them anyway. So then I went up to the interview on Friday, And I wore the same thing that I wore for my BBC interview, which was a white shirt and some smart blue trousers and some nice brogues on my feet. And I felt like I looked the part, which I think is an important thing in self-confidence. You have to feel confident with your appearance and your style. And I did. And I arrived about an hour early, which was also handy, because I bumped into the people that were giving me the audition. I knew what they looked like because I searched them on the internet before. I made a guess from the emails that I'd been sending and receiving who was going to be interviewing me. Googled them, and then when I saw them in the lobby when I was waiting an hour previous, I shook their hand and we said hello, and that was nice. So good first impressions, I think. And then I went up and into the practice room. I had a little practice, was feeling very confident, and then there was only one guy who interviewed me in the end. It was Andy Stott, the guy we spoke about last time, and he comes in and he sits down, and there's almost no chat. There's no kind of get to know each other. At this point, we've only spoken over the phone a couple of days previous, and I've said a brief hello to him, but we've never had an in-person dialogue. No chat, no build-up of any form. He's just like, which one are you starting with? Take it away. In my ideal world, we would have had a little bit of dialogue there to get me comfortable. But he threw me right in the deep end, and I think that what was wrong with that, for me, was threw me out my comfort zone a little bit, and then I felt suddenly very tense. So the first piece was kind of like a pretty slow, kind of emotional piano piece, just a solo piano piece. And I started it way fast because I was tense. Way fast, and my hands felt like pieces of like meat. I couldn't distinguish between my fingers very well at all. I was just kind of hitting the keys. This makes it sound atrocious. I still played the song, but I didn't do any of the nice little twiddly bits that I was hoping to do at all. And when I did try, I kind of just hit random notes in a way that I hadn't done in any rehearsal or really at any point in my life. I was just suddenly felt like I couldn't perform as I should.
It's interesting that the interviewer tested his strength under fire right from the start. If you think about it, that's probably an important aspect for anybody going to be a performer in front of the public. It looks like this Royal Northern course is going to be challenging. What a great way to learn. In step 86, we're going to see how Corben got on.